Hey everybody, Ed Homewood, Old Guy Hi-Fi channel. I hope everyone's doing well today. Today should be an interesting video. We're going to talk about the brand new ELAC Debut 3.0, the DB53s. Sit back, relax, and we'll get going on this video. So what are the ELAC Debut 3.0 DB53 all about? Well, it's a $350 stand mount bookshelf speaker using a 1 1/4 inch, and I'll put all the specifications up here, 1 inch tweeter and a 5 1/4 inch woofer. Now it is some new technology. This is a new design. Obviously Andrew Jones isn't with the company anymore, but you know, ELAC's been around for decades, literally decades. 50 or more years. I'll put it down here, whenever they were founded. So they have a lot of experience anyway. So this is a new design for them. And it's really a remarkable design because I own a couple of pairs of ELACs, as you guys may know. I own a pair of DBR62s and I own a pair of the Debut 2.0, the big towers, the 6-inch towers. So I'm used to that sound. And this is a new, and I've heard some of the German designs before, the Velas and above. This is a really interesting sounding speaker, and I'll talk about what I thought of it in just a few minutes. So the way I tested it was, as you saw in the B-roll, I had them on my desktop for a long time. I was running them through the FiiO K17 headphone amp DAC and also the G-horns, because I can run balanced out of the K17 and run balanced into the G-horns and run a mono. And that was a great combination. Now, they're on my desktop, you know, they're sitting on the Aperta stands, as you saw, but they're about 6 or 8 inches from the wall behind. And I think that gave some good bass reinforcement because these things do dig deep. Really nice. We'll talk about that again in just a few minutes. So again, it's a new aluminum dome tweeter. It doesn't sound like that. It's got more energy than the soft dome tweeters they used in the past, but it never really gets bright unless you're really jamming on it with maybe a Class D amp, one of the FunFi Class D amps. But new woofer too. Now, it's an aramid fiber woofer. That's not anything really new for ELAC, but what is new is the butyl rubber surround on a 5 1/4 inch driver. Instead of the expanded foam or the foam surrounds they used to use, this is a little bit more, I think, engineered, a little better engineered because of that rubber surround. They last a lot longer. They're very good as far as keeping the cone centered and controlling the excursion of the cone. And it, like I said, it does punch really well. Cabinet's really well built. It's braced inside. Really nicely done. Obviously ported enclosure. Nice flared port. Everything about the presentation, magnetic grills, by the way, everything about the presentation is really well done. I'm very impressed with it. So let's talk about how I tested them. Well, I tested them a couple different ways. As you saw in the B-roll at the beginning of the video, I had them on my desktop, you know, running off the FiiO K17 and the G-horns running in mono, and that was a great combination. I'd use some other stuff, some IEMA amps, some Fozzy amps, some different stuff, some of the FunFi stuff I've reviewed recently. These were the speakers on the desktop I used. Now, when I brought them into the big room, I put them on stands, and I ran them through a couple of different amplifiers. I used my Cambridge Evo 150, and that was a good combination. I used the Advanced Paris A12 Classic. That was an amazing, beautiful combination. I did for a time, just for fun, I ran them on the Boyus Sound F5, that little 3 watt, 4 watt, whatever it is, single-ended tube, Class A, little integrated amplifier. That was very sweet sounding. Obviously, that doesn't have a lot of current and low end, so it didn't make a ton of bass, but it was very pleasant, very delicate, you know, for listening to something like chamber music or something like that. But to get them to really rock and roll, I did run them on the Cambridge EXA100. That is a monster integrated amplifier review coming soon on that one. And they performed quite well, really well. So let's talk about some of the music that I used, and then we'll sum up with my sound impressions. So in addition to the normal stuff I listen to, and there are some playlists in the video description, you know, that give you a good indication of what the stuff I listen to is, I did use this album from Gerald Clayton called Tributary Tales. Now, Gerald Clayton is a jazz musician, and he plays piano and Fender Rhodes, but this album from 2017 is unique, to my mind, is that it was recorded live to analog tape at Avatar Studios, Studio A in New York. And that studio is well known for its very warm, very kind of traditional, classic kind of acoustics. It has hosted countless legendary jazz sessions and recordings. It just has this analog warmth that really comes through on the recording. There's kind of this raw, intimate energy. All the musicians are in the studio at the same time, and you can hear it because you'll hear someone on this side of the, you know, sound stage, but you'll hear some bleed over on a microphone on the other side. And I love that, and I've mentioned this before, I love that when everybody's in the room at the same time because they're kind of feeding off each other. There's this unspoken communication. They're looking at the other musician's face. There's body language to read. There's some facial, emotional language to read, and they just feed off each other, and it really creates this kind of very vibrant, very human feeling, very, very intimate but energetic and communicative kind of recordings and kind of songs. It's really a great album, this one. Now, personnel on the album was you had Gerald Clayton on piano and Fender Rhodes. You got Logan Richardson on alto saxophone. You got Ben Wendell on tenor sax and bassoon. You got Dana Stevens on baritone saxophone and EWI, or electronic wind instrument, which is really cool. You got Kean Harold on trumpet. You got Charles Alturo on guitar, Joe Sanders on bass, Justin Brown on drums, Henry Cole on drums on some of the other tracks. And this ensemble, this group that Gerald has put together, it's just huge sonic palette, really large sonic palette. There's a lot of things, a lot of different kind of textures and emotions to draw on. He brings these musicians together, and they kind of weave this kind of, it's between straight ahead jazz and kind of funk infused passages. There's some ambient stuff in there. There's some poetic interludes. It's not just a bunch of horns blowing and people noodling on a horn. There's actually structure, and there's actually intent, and there's definitely a mood to the recording for sure. So the album leans heavily into narrative and atmosphere with poetic interludes and rhythmic shifts that suggest movement through various emotional and cultural tributaries. Hence the name of the album. You'll hear influences from modern jazz, Afro-Cuban rhythms. There's some gospel in there. There's some hip hop and adjacent spoken word in the one track. And I'll put that track, I don't remember the name of it right now. Just really a lot of fun. There's really an interesting harmonic structures in this. It is a beautifully recorded album. It is very, very well recorded. My favorite track on it is called Soul Stomp. And it's a kind of, it's got groove and swagger. It's funky. It's hard driving. There's, deep rhythmic pocket. Musicians know that when someone's in the pocket. It's got this soulful vibe that kind of recalls, it kind of feels like late 60s, early 70s soul jazz, that electric era, Herbie Hancock kind of thing. But obviously, Gerald Clayton has put his own spin on it. What a wonderful album. Again, Gerald Clayton, Tributary Tales, well worth a listen. Really, really good if you're into jazz. Very good. So the next album I used was this album from Fenne Lily called Big Picture. Now, this is her third full-length album. It was released in April of 2023, and it's, I think, her most refined and kind of emotionally resonant work for sure. It's very intimate, but it's expansive. And Brad Cook, the producer, who also plays bass on it, kind of, in the recording, was able to balance this kind of sparse vulnerability with some richly textured instrumentation. Now, all the songs were written during lockdown, so there is this solitary feeling to it. There's kind of this, a period of reflection maybe for the songwriter. The album itself was recorded at Real World Studios in Wiltshire, England. That's Peter Gabriel's studio. So great equipment, great engineering, all of that other stuff. And again, Brad Cook, the producer, gave Fenne Lily enough leash to make this kind of, kind of raw but introspective, and she is very closely mic'd during the recording, so it's very intimate sounding. So on the album itself, there's this like tightly knit group of musicians, and they all play on all of the tracks. And I don't know if they played together in the past or not. I couldn't find out any information about that. But they definitely are in tune with one another during this recording. So you have Fenne Lily on vocals and guitar. And again, her performance is obviously the highlighted performance. And again, it's very emotionally raw. She's very closely mic'd, so it's a very, very intimate recording. You've got Brad Cook on bass and keyboards. You've got Joe Westerlund on drums and percussion. And you got Meg Duffy on guitar, in addition to probably rhythm guitar, in addition to Fenne Lily's work. The album itself is really interesting. It's kind of a breakup record in disguise. It's deeply introspective, not overtly dramatic, but the lyrics kind of explore love, self-doubt, emotional, kind of emotional feelings and things like that. Maybe it's specific to something that occurred in her life, but it's also kind of relatable by anybody who's listened to the album. So it's got some really good, it's got some good hook to you. It wants to pull you in. There's kind of this blend of indie folk, kind of slowcore, which is, kind of ambient stuff, dream pop, again, sort of that ambient kind of stuff, and kind of little bit of, alternative country kind of threads woven in and out of the different songs, obviously with the guitar playing and so forth. And again, the recording, the arrangements are very minimalist. Her voice and lyrics sit right at the front and center. It's just really, really nice. Now, some great tracks on this one are Dawn Colored Horse. That's really beautiful. Great soft vocals, a good sense, kind of sense of quiet resignation. Lights Light Up. That's more lush, more expansive, kind of, a little bit more sweeping in its sound, but still kind of grounded, very much grounded. And then there's Pick, which is a stripped down, almost confessional, kind of song, whispered into a tape recorder. Really, really interesting. So I highly recommend, and you should check out Fenne Lily's catalog. So Fenne Lily's album, Big Picture, gets a big recommendation for me. Her voice is beautiful. It's textured. It's detailed. This is a lovely, lovely recording. And I love the way they've got her closely mic'd. I mean, she sounds like she's right there next to you, almost in your ear. It's beautifully done. Beautifully done. So now let's talk about how these speakers performed. Well, I think these speakers performed really well, and hopefully you think I'm performing pretty well. I'm sorry about the bad segues. And you'd be willing to give me a like and a subscribe. So the Debut 3.0 DB53s, I was really pleasantly surprised. I didn't know what to expect. I've known Andrew Jones for a very long time, and obviously I own some of his designs, and I've owned some of his designs in the past from Pioneer, and obviously a number of different ELAC speakers. These are really well done. They build upon some of the previous designs in that very good bass response, and that's always been kind of an ELAC hallmark, since the original Debut series. These don't disappoint in bass, especially for a small speaker. They really do play well. But I think with the new aluminum dome tweeter, the extended mid-range adds more detail and adds more air. So in the big room, when I was running it on the Advanced Paris A12 Classic, which is a big burly amplifier, and that has a tube front end, that little bit of warmth brought these speakers really into focus for me. They did a really good job. They laid down a nice image. They did good with depth on bass. Really good, solid, probably in-room response, easily down to the 48, maybe a little bit below. I think the frequency response is a plus or minus 6 dB, but good solid bass. And again, I've got them well out from a wall, so there's no bass reinforcement for the port, no wall reinforcement, and they performed really well. Now, when I put them with a subwoofer, they blended beautifully with the subwoofer, and they sounded much bigger than they really are. As far as physical size, they sounded good. Image was very good. It was very centrally located, good depth, good placement. It did everything it should. For $350, these did, I think, punched above their weight as far as sound performance. They were getting, not tonally, but image-wise, they were getting very close to the DBR62s, which is one of my go-to reference, sub $1,000 bookshelf speakers. The performance on these is really good. I'd be interested in hearing the DB63 model from this lineup as well, because that might get closer and certainly do a lot better than the Debut 2.0 F62s. So really, really nice. Now, near field on the desk. They really, they've been friends. I've been friends with these guys for weeks. I've been using them to review a lot of the inexpensive FunFi products. I've been using it a lot during my editing sessions, some of them, kind of the pre-edit, pre-roll, and, they were really, really good. They did perform exceptionally well on both the Fozzy V3 monos. They performed exceptionally well on the IEMA A70 monos. They performed really well on the Duke A5. That was a great combination. They did amazing with the K17. Now with the Fozzy product, I had the ZD3, the P4, and the V3 monos, and that was a really good combination. And then I kept the ZD3 in and the P4, and I ran the IEMA monos, and that was very good. And then I took the ZD3 out and put my Gishelli J2S in with the A5, and that actually was a great little combination when I had put the SX52B op amps in that little amp. That's a wonderful little amplifier. But obviously I got the best sound out of it using that really, really nice, and you'll see the review soon, the FiiO K17. That's their $1,000 full discrete DAC headphone amp, preamp, the whole 9 yards, running into the shit G-horns. Magic City, magic. Just beautiful. And near field, obviously, you eliminate any side reflections and things like that. The image was huge with these things on the desktop. Really, really nice. And part of that, too, I think, is the Aperta stands I have them on, because it isolates them from resonating the tabletop and other stuff. And also their proximity to the wall behind, really good reinforcement of bass. So I like these a lot. They're very, very nice. I think for a starter system, for a second system, for a small room system, man alive, these things do perform. I'm really, really impressed. I think for $350, they kick butt. They really do a great job. I really like them. I'm going to probably wind up having to buy them and put them in as my kind of entry-level budget reference speaker, because they're really good. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you'd be willing to give me a like and your subscription. Your subscription really does count a lot. And as of my recording of this, we went through 19,000 subscribers this morning. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much to my members, to my subscribers, my viewers. Believe me, that helps a ton. It lets manufacturers know that I'm serious about this, and they give me gear to review. And you can't see them, although you can see it just barely here. This is a $12,000 pair of stand mount speakers, so look for that review soon. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment. There will be links in the playlist to this product, Amazon affiliate link. There will be links to the 2 albums I spoke of. There will be other Amazon affiliate links in. There's other playlists. There is a link to the community post playlist. I do encourage you to check that out. Please comment. Let me know, where are you at? Are you looking for a second system? Are you looking for a good desktop? Now, one of the issues with desktop on this is they're a little bit deep. There's my hand to kind of give you an idea. But if you got the space for them, oh my goodness, they're wonderful sounding. So anyway, I think that's everything I need to say. Like, subscribe, comment. If you want to follow me on Instagram, please do so. That's it. My name's Ed Homewood. This is the Old Guy Hi-Fi channel, and it's now your obligation to sit back at your desk or in your big listening room or in your second listening room and enjoy some really wonderful music on a nice pair of stand mount speakers like these ELACs. Thank you so much for your time. I'm grateful for it. I hope you have a wonderful day.